Pick a number in your head from 1 to 10. So pick any number you want from 1 to 10. Now I want you to double that number times 2. Now I want you to add 8 to that number. Now divide by 2 and subtract the original number that you started with. Now everyone needs a number in your head right now. You have to have a number because we're going to convert it from math and arithmetic to English. So now I want you to take that number and match it to a letter in the alphabet. If 1 is A and 2 is B and so on, I want you to match the letter that you have in your head to a number that you have in your head to a letter in the alphabet. Yeah. Okay? Now does everybody have a letter? Okay. Now I want you to think of a country in Europe that starts with that letter. A country in Europe that starts with that letter. Everybody got it? Now I want you to go to the next letter in the alphabet. And I want you to think of an animal that starts with that letter. Everybody have it? Now think of a color of that animal. Now I've totally confused you, right? But everyone should have a country in Europe, an animal, and a color of that animal. Does everybody have that in their head? This is yes. Yep. All right. Let's see how good I did. A gray elephant in Denmark. Did everybody get that? Yep. Everybody? Not everybody? What'd you get? Yeah, you got it? All right. All right. All right. Just a little fun to get started. So, all right. How we arrive there, as you see, it's a process. A mathematic, arithmetic process, a system that we go through. And the reason we do that as well is because that's what our process is at Pinnacle. It's all about the system that we offer. It's not just about the real estate. It's about the system. Now, the Shield Foundation is what Jay talked about a little bit ago, and that was it's just something that we do. Our goal this year is to give away 50 homes to the Shield Foundation. We regularly give away homes in cities across the country that we participate in. If we buy a bunch of houses in a certain city, we make a lot of money in that city. We will always return something to that city. We think it's very important to give back. Our organization is based on that. So not only is Pinnacle itself, our business is. We're extremely blessed folks. We get to work at jobs we love. We get to help people. And at the end of the day, when you see our system, what we get to do at Pinnacle is get great deals on properties, make great returns for ourselves and for our investors. And in addition to that, we have the Shield Foundation. So Pinnacle provides 50% of its profits go to charity, so they go to the charity as well. And Pinnacle's got a strong commitment to charity. But also, it fulfills Pinnacle's mission. The Shield Foundation helps us to give away homes. We can donate properties to the Shield Foundation, and by the way, you can do that as well. We'd be glad to show you how. It's very attractive for you to do so for tax advantages. This year, again, we're going to give away 50 homes is our goal. And this is what I do know when it comes to the foundation. It's a life-changing event. You very rarely, I don't know if you guys have it, but I very rarely hear of anyone else besides us that actually gives away homes. To needy people in communities that they go in and help put people in homes that didn't currently have homes. So, and this is what we found out to be. Number one, it's very hard to do. It's much easier to sell houses here tonight than it is to put up one single family in a home because everyone is skeptical. They don't believe it. They are very standoffish, and we have to really work with people over time to get them to accept homes from us, to accept the help, to give them the hand up. But it does change their lives forever. It's a life-changing event. So that's what we're all about, and very proud of the foundation as well. Wow, it is hot, isn't it? Is it just me? I hope it's just me. If it's just me, I'll be fine. But
they're turning your down now.
All right, good. All right, we're going to talk about how money really works. If you've seen this before, maybe it helps to see it a couple of times. But how many of you understand, or you think you understand, like the banking system and the governmental system and the Treasury Department, all those weird words that go with that, but how the U.S. dollar works, how money works? Does everybody understand how money works, our monetary system works in this country? You think you have a good understanding of that? Possibly?
Our government doesn't.
And here's why we're going to talk about this. And it's why it's important. Is because, a lot of people that hear our opportunity during the time, they go, well, it's impossible. You can't buy houses that cheap. There's got to be something wrong with them. All that. They had come up with all these things because it sounds really too good to be true. So we started putting this piece in at the beginning of the presentation to actually show you that it's possible Oh, nice. That it's possible to receive these kind of deals, so that makes it real. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So how many of you understand that the Federal Reserve is a government agency? Everybody ever heard of the Federal Reserve? Right. Anybody heard of the Federal Reserve? Okay, how many of you understand that the Federal Reserve is a government agency? No one? Okay. How many of you, let me ask it this way. How many of you believe that the Federal Reserve is a government agency? No one. All right. Okay. The Federal Reserve is not a federal agency. It's not a government agency. It's no more federal than Federal Express. How many of you believe that Federal Express is a government agency? All right. Same thing with the Federal Reserve. It's a play on words for the most part. They are responsible for creating every dollar of the U.S. dollar. As a matter of fact, if you look at the top, it says Federal Reserve note. And in 1913, our government gave away the power to create money to the Federal Reserve, a privately held organization, a privately held bank. And our government now has to guarantee every dollar and borrow every dollar from the Federal Reserve. So we gave away that power to them. Now that's important to know because it's going to help you understand the process tonight, specifically about how mortgages and debt and those kind of things work and make these foreclosures and REOs possible. So I've got two demonstrations I'd like to show you. One is the government, the federal government budget. The federal government, anybody hearing about budgets lately? Like right now? You know, the thing about we're hearing about budgets is that you understand there's deficits, right? So we've spent more money than we took in. So that means that by the clear definition of a budget, we have to borrow our money from somewhere. And we borrow it as a government from the Federal Reserve. So our congressmen and senators pass legislation on a budget, and that gives them the power to borrow that much money for the next year. And then they go out, and that number can be more or less, and they bring in revenue. What is the revenue of the government? You guys follow me? So they're bringing in taxes, and they're borrowing money from the Federal Reserve, and it's either they're bringing more taxes than they need, or not enough to pay the debt. So that's the balance of the budget. I'm going to give you a demonstration of how this works. Very simple, but very accurate how it works. So we got the Federal Reserve Bank. We're going to bring up a senator. We're going to bring up a local banker. I'm going to show you how the money changes hands and moves from place to place to give you a little bit of an understanding. So here we've got the senator, the Federal Reserve Bank, the senator, yeah. And we know that nobody would vote for him. Absolutely no one. There's voter fraud right there. And the Federal Reserve Bank. And then you've got a local bank. Now every local bank that accepts U.S. dollars, Federal Reserve notes, has to be a charter of the Federal Reserve Bank. You can't accept a Federal Reserve note if you're not a charter or have a license to do so. So every bank that you know of that accepts U.S. dollars in this country or in the world has a license from the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States to carry that dollar and currency inside of it. So they license these individual banks. Now the Federal Reserve here loans money to the government. So the senator passes the budget, let's say, and his responsibility is to go to the Federal Reserve and pick up the check every day for the purpose of this example. So he's going to stroll over from the Capitol building to the Federal Reserve building. He's going to stroll into the office of the government. He's going to say, I'm here today to pick up my $1 billion check. Now, in the good old days, $1 billion actually used to last a whole day in America, but no longer does that happen. But for the purpose of this example, let's imagine, if we can, the good old days of when $1 billion used to be enough to run our country for an entire day. So now he's going to take the $1 billion check that he's written from the Federal Reserve. He's going to walk it over to his local bank. And because, remember, it's just a piece of paper at that point. The Federal Reserve banker went into his bottom drawer, he pulled out a checkbook. Checkbook's not attached to an account. He wrote a check, a voucher, and gave it to the government and said, we're going to loan you this money. Here you go. If you'll take it to one of our accredited, licensed banks, we will actually deposit that to your account, and you've got your money that you borrowed from us. So he takes it, deposits it into the local bank, which is got a treasury account, if you will, at a local bank, and they now, boom, bang, have just created $1 billion out of thin air. Now the government can write its checks from its checking account, pieces of paper, and mail them to, let's say, the military, or pay Social Security or Medicare, and pays the payroll to run the government, all the different entitlements that it has. And when those folks get these checks from the government, they go to their local bank and deposit it, and bingo, bammo, they've got money in their account too. Now when they go to Walmart and spend money on their debit account to cover their checking account, right then and there, you have created money out of thin air, just like that. Okay, that's one way that we do it with the Federal Reserve